Welcome
Welcome
to Sleep Drunk.
to Sleep Drunk, where procrastination is a lifestyle.
All right, here we are on our 12th episode. Going to be a bit of a, I wouldn't say different, but just a bit updating of an episode. Alex, I want to give them a rundown of what's going on today.
Yeah, so in this episode, we are going to give an update about our progress with skating. Then we'll go into the Sleep Drunk Attention Span Club.
Henceforth, Sleep Drunk ASC, because that is a nice, slick way of calling it.
I guess you could say that. And then, I guess somewhere in there, we'll also throw in the Discussion Avenue.
All right. So, Alex, how has skating been?
All right, so skating has been... It's been more subtle improvements, so we haven't been able to skate quite the same amount, but we have been doing a decent bit, because you gotta keep at it if you want to make any progress at all. And we've gotten to the point where we can loosen up our trucks a bit, and our balance is getting a lot better. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling very confident about my skating. I'm getting to the point where I feel like I could take my skateboard to class or to the parking garage and that kind of thing.
Yeah. See, I think I'd honestly echo that sentiment a lot, and I think a big part for me, confidence-wise, was just riding it more. I've been trying personally to ride it every day, if I can, weather permitting. If only for even if it's just for 10 minutes, I'll go out to the ever wonderful Bog Creek and just kind of board around there, do some figure eights. I've been able to just kind of, I guess, do 180 turns without getting off the board and pivoting it, or without doing a regular pivot, because my board pivotable, but it's quite heavy, as Alex can attest to, and it's not exactly fun to pivot. And so I've just gotten better at getting really nice tight carves. I've become just, I guess, generally decent at turning tightly, because for some measurement I know this isn't a standard unit, but for, I'll just say, a medium-sized parking space, I can turn a 180 in roughly 1.5 of those. That's about the amount of space I need, is a medium-sized parking space.
Yeah, his board is definitely hard to pivot, but not conventionally hard. It's very easy to pivot, but it takes a lot of effort because it is a long board.
Yeah, it's a 41-inch.
The kicktail, the air quotes kicktail, doesn't have very much leverage
on the back.
Yeah,
it's basically just enough to let you pop it up to grab it. Mine
has a proper kicktail, and it's hard to pivot, but it's, you don't have to apply that much force, and it's very easy to lose your balance.
So I guess getting to this point, Alex, what sort of challenges have you had? And I'll, of course, jump on this after you, but go ahead and take the lead.
Well, I didn't have very lofty goals to begin with, so my challenges are still pivoting properly. I'd like to be able to manual, and I have not gotten anywhere close to that. It's just extremely hard for me to hold my balance, and maybe it's my board, I just don't know, but I'd like to be able to manual eventually, because it's just a useful thing. I want to be able to I want to have that steeze, I want to be able to go off of a curb. I just want to be able to go through more obstacles, basically, like curbs and ledges and cracks in the sidewalks, without having to dismount and then get back on.
I mean, I think one challenges wise was what were some of the struggles you faced, I guess, coming up to here, getting to this point where we are now?
I haven't had a whole lot of trouble, so that's the only way I know how to answer that question. I've just been slowly making progress and, just getting better, but I haven't had any specific troubles. I've always been good at carving. My balance wasn't a super big deal. I'm fine with where I'm at.
Okay. See, I know for me, one of my biggest issues, especially early on, was plantar fasciitis, which is when the arches of your feet hurt a lot, debilitatingly bad. Especially, I think, in my first week and a half, that was just, the arch pain was so bad. And I ended up I wear Vans slip-ons for my skate shoes. I ended up, getting, my knife and, a fork and ripping out the insoles, because the insoles in there are, really tightly glued in. I ended up ripping them out and swapping them with some Dr. Scholl's plantar fasciitis insoles, which did help. But I think really what it came down to was that I had very bad pushing technique. So for me, I think especially early on, building up that better pushing, because like I was pushing with my toes, and normally you want to push with your entire foot and just kind of like drag it along the ground nice and lightly to get just the most amount of like, because you want to basically keep the majority of your weight on your foot that's on the board. So when you push off, that just guarantees the most amount of force from the push, and it stops your feet from hurting. So I know for me initially that was a huge challenge, and that was just something I got better at over time.
Yeah, actually, I'll take back what I said earlier, and I think pushing was probably my biggest challenge, because the pushing technique, it's so easy to say, but it isn't very easy to nail. But I have nailed it at this point. Well, I haven't nailed it, but there's little room for improvement now. Like it's just a weird thing when you lift your back foot off the board sometimes, and for really no particular reason. You could have, firm footing, but you just think that you've lost your balance, and
then you
start like over correcting, and you like have your leg turned all weird, and you just kind of have to get back on the board, roll for a second, and then try it again.
See, for me, another challenge, something I'm still actually, I think, facing a bit is, I've gotten better with it, but foot braking early on for me was bad. It was real bad. Like, if y'all don't remember, I think, what was it, 2 or 3 episodes ago, was it? I think I mentioned how I fell because we're skating to one of our dining halls, right, a little ways out, and we're going down this hill. The hill itself wasn't very steep, but it was a long hill, and so we got a fair bit of speed. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try and slow down. I get a successful foot brake to slow down, then I go in again, and my foot caught, and I'll just say my knee still hasn't fully healed, and it's been like 3 weeks. I got a really bad abrasion, like really bad.
Yeah, my foot braking, I didn't have much trouble with it. It just kind of came to me.
Yeah, I know. For me, I think it's something that's up in my head, I guess. I don't know. But I've been getting better at it. Like, I can just do it at most speeds now. Things that when I get faster, I just kind of freak out a little bit and I try to carve off the speed. Because generally when I'm going fast, I have a place I can go to carve it off. Like, for example, actually, funny story, which we were going to touch more on later. I think it was yesterday. I just kind of went out to some like solo skating. I went to a spot we like to frequent. I'll just call it the Vale. And the way the Vale is set up, it's like this small residential area, and you enter it there's a pretty big hill, so you come down the hill, and then there's a T intersection. On the left is an uphill, and on the right is a downhill. And so what our normal like route on the Vale is, we take the big hill, as much of the big hill as we want down, then we turn onto the uphill and let that eat away our speed. But so I'm going on, it's during the day, we normally go to the Vale at night. I go in, I'm getting ready to turn, I'm like, oh hey, there's a Volkswagen Golf there. Looks like I'm not turning that way, so just to head into the downhill and go even faster. And then luckily the downhill ends in a cul-de-sac, but there is this little like access road that has a really nice steep bump in the beginning that can help you ease off speed. So I got onto there and then managed to slow down enough to where I could foot brake and just get judged by this dude who was coming out of his garage to watch me. That was fun and a bit scary.
It sounds a little scary. I wasn't aware that that's actually what happened. I thought when you described it to me the first time, I thought it was something else.
Oh, no. I was like, oh, there's a car. Like, here's the thing. I was for all considering, could I try cutting around the car? But, like, no, that's very dangerous and will definitely piss off the driver. So I'm just taking it downhill. Yeah. Also, there's a storm drain there, and I'm not trying to lose my board in a storm drain. That's not...
That would suck.
That's not a goal of mine. Yeah. And I guess going into accomplishments, because that's kind of what I label that under, Alex, what would you say are some of your accomplishments? Things like top speeds, tricks, etc.
I don't remember my top speed. I want to say it was somewhere in the 14.5 range that's measured. I think I've gone faster since then.
Yeah.
Which, it sounds a little slow, but when you put it on terms of you're standing on a board that's just kind of like going... Yeah,
you're just kind of standing on it. You're not strapped in.
It's a little freaky to go that fast.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about downhill or longboarding, yes, it's not super fast, but I mean, we're beginners. I feel like that it's a comfortable place to stay, especially with just a helmet, because we don't have the rest of the protection gear.
Yeah,
and
gloves or knee pads.
Yeah, because when things get hairy, that's definitely necessary.
Yeah, I think most like downhill professional longboarders, even amateur downhill longboarders, they stay as padded up as they can be. Like slide gloves, elbow pads, knee pads, like a motorcycle helmet. Because especially when you're doing real downhill, like big hills, you get like 40, 50, even like 60 miles an hour. Like not that, like with decent, like without that much effort. So it can get really sketchy. And so downhill longboarding, it's like you want to be padded up for that. For us, we're taking smaller hills. Like I'm sure if we took it from the peak of the hill in the Vale, then we could probably get close to those speeds. But that T intersection, it's not a lot of space to run off. Like yes, it is just grass, but hitting the curb would probably crack your board.
That and the grass is a steep hill down into a forest.
Yes, and also, Alex, your board is not really optimized for downhill. It is my board.
No, my board is a cruiser.
Yes, my board can handle some downhill. Alex, not so much. Yeah. And if you want a reminder of what our boards are like, you can go back to, I think it was episode 8, I want to say. There'll be some links in the description, in the show notes for that episode, so you can go ahead there and check it out. And if I said that wrong, there'll be a correction in the show notes for this episode. So Alex, do you have any funny stories that you'd like to share? Because I know we've had some. We've had a couple.
I'm trying to think.
Man, no, there was the other day where we went out to the outer rim.
I was about to say there was the roller skater.
Yeah, you want to take that one?
You could tell it better than I can.
Okay, so we go to the outer rim, right, which is kind of our go-to, I guess, more like chill skating spot. Like, there's a nice-sized hill, there's a vending machine nearby. I think it's just a generally very comfortable place to skate. There's not too many people. And so we go to our usual spot in the outer rim where there's, like, this nice-sized hill, got a couple of curves. It's a small hill, but it's, like, the one where we hit, like, the 15, around there, 14, 15 miles an hour. And so we pull up, and we see there's other people using the hill. We're like, okay, you know what? That's fine. We'll share the hill. But the other person using the hill is I want to say probably around our age, so anywhere between 17 to 20-year-old young white girl with inline roller skates, which, I mean, hey, to each their own. You know, some people like to go slow and sad.
Some people like to take a time machine back to the 90s.
Yeah, and you know what's your call. But I think to top it off, so the way we generally set up is that we would be going in opposite directions. So when she came downhill, we would go uphill. When we went downhill, she would be going uphill, right? We didn't really agree on it. That's just kind of how it panned out. And I think when she was taking, I want to say a downhill, we were going uphill, I just kind of heard Cardi B being blasted off her phone. And that just kind of did it for me, because white girl roller skating, blasting Cardi B, you can listen to whatever music you want to. That is, like, I'm not trying to, like, racially set music here. But I just feel like it's a very stereotypical, like, I guess, poser kind of thing too. I hate using that term, but I feel that's the best way for me to describe it. It just kind of got me.
It was very amusing.
Yeah, it was very amusing. And also, like, after a while, she started getting a little bit passive-aggressive and, like, giving us a bunch of dirty looks. And, like, we were doing the same thing she was doing, just going up and down the hill on our various
nobody has any
mobility.
right to the hill.
Yeah. And, like, generally also, another thing on the hill is that we're generally pretty courteous, you know? Like, when she was coming up, we'd pull off to the side or get off. Pedestrians come in, we pull off, we get off. But she was just going. And I don't know, she was just kind of judging us. And I didn't like that, because I was just like, you know what? You do you. Your choice of music's a bit entertaining, but, like, you do you. And she's just kind of glaring at us and looking at us while trying to, like, also the way she was going downhill was honestly pretty funny. Like, she was kind of, like, squatting all, like, she wasn't full-on squatting, but, like, she was set up as if she was about to squat. Like, her legs were really wide out. She's, like, kind of slowly going down because...
Yeah, the way... Yeah. Her legs are way too wide when she's going down.
I mean, once again, I'm not a rollerblader, so maybe that's the correct technique, but it just kind of looked a bit weird from our end.
It looked dumb. It looked so dumb. I mean, to me, rollerblading looks dumb, but that's my opinion.
Oh, I mean, I guess this is really a funny story, but another note, I managed to longboard to one class, which I'm quite proud of. The class with the one, the only, the hot Joseph Hart, which I'm honestly gonna miss. There, by the time this up, there should be, like, I'm probably finished writing it tonight, there should be a blog post on the blog detailing why I like that class and stuff about math in general, so you should go check that out, sleepdrunk.net/blog.
Yeah, I think in this time also, I will have written a post about just my project potential possibilities, and I'll get into this later in the episode actually, but as a visual supplement, and I wanted to just write about my history with this and stuff, so I should have a post up as well.
Oh, actually, I do have one other funny story now that I remembered. So, I was taking one of my night sessions out of Bog Creek last time before I go to bed. I like to just kind of go out to Bog Creek, gotta get maybe 20 minutes in, just kind of relaxing by myself, listen to some good music, and just kind of chill. But the other night, right, I'm just kind of doing my thing, doing my figure eights, and I see this dude pull up, right? He was on a vehicle, on a wheeled vehicle, not like a car, but just one of a wheeled vehicle, I will call it. It was a Razor scooter. And he's just kind of scooting on down, talking really loudly on the phone at, I think it was 1 in the morning. And, I mean, hey, I can't really judge him because I was out longboarding, but what you doing, man?
He went out into the Razor road. Scooters on campus is insane.
But he went out into the road while on the phone on his Razor scooter. Like, there's some safety issues there, man. Like, yeah, you could technically take the bike lane, but the bike lane's kind of a death trap. So, like, safety, don't. But hey, if he's a mangled up corpse now, hit by a bus, to his family I convey the greatest of condolences. But he was a dumbass, so, like, I mean, hey, you know what? It'd be like that. Also, the other day while I was out of Bog Creek, I saw a baby snake, and I almost ran over it, but I didn't, and I moved it back to the grass. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, a funny story. We were both out at Bog Creek, just chilling for a little bit, just doing like some boarding up and down the lot, and there was this individual that comes walking across the parking lot because there's like just kind of a cut through there for pedestrians, and Alavi was heading towards this individual, so he decided to slow down a little bit, and then he ate a little bit of ass, as we say, and then kind of shot his board right at the person that was walking.
I think luckily one in front of him. That didn't hit him. But yeah. I think generally speaking, like, I found Bog Creek has probably been my favorite longboarding spot, which is weird because for a bit of a visualization, Bog Creek is a relatively long parking lot. Like, it has a single line of parking spaces that are, I think, maybe like 12 of them, medium-sized parking spaces.
Not 12, it's probably like 8.
8, yeah, 8. It's just kind of like a long stretch, and then there's kind of like a little offshoot that goes into like a loading dock off to at the end of it, and at the very back of it is like there's like a little building where they have some like I think it's like some maintenance or something, and so like that's so generally the way we'd hit is that we'll go there and we just kind of do like figure 8 laps. So you go to the bottom, carve around, come to the top, carve around, just kind of keep looping it for as long as you want. And so that's just that visualization. Another annoying thing about Bog Creek I found is that people just kind of don't park considering skaters. I mean, they don't have to. I don't expect them to, but it would be nice because people really like to park in our ideal carving spot, because at the end of Bog Creek, there's this group of parking spaces where they're on a very slight incline, so it gives you a little boost of speed off of the carve, which can help because when you carve, you lose a bit of speed. And people just really like to park there and disrupt our carving space, which is really annoying because they have to like stop or hit a really sketchy turn at the end. And I don't like doing that. I just want to chill, get some steez, get a little steezy. And I can't do that when there's cars there and people park their minis and their Civics, because there's always a Civic. For those of you who don't know, I am the pioneer of a leading theorem. I call it the HCP theorem. It is that if you take any 2 points on a map with a road given A and B, you will see a Honda Civic. It is guaranteed. A Honda Civic will be seen. And any 2 points, A and B, you will see a Honda Civic. If you don't, you're hallucinating because you saw a Honda Civic.
I think I can think of 2 points on a map that I could not see a Honda Civic.
Ocean doesn't count. Also, any 2 points on a road. On a road.
Yeah, on a road. I know exactly where to go.
Where?
So if you go to Southern Ohio, it is what we know as Chevy Land, because everyone there seems to drive a GM car, right? And then that way, your chances of, people driving and passing you on the road are slim for a Japanese car. And then you can go out to a back road where there's no houses or anything, right? You can drive a quarter mile down the road, you won't see a Honda Civic.
I have two refutations of that. So my very wise 9th grade German teacher, Frau, everyone just called her Frau. Frau is German for Mrs. According to her, and she's a very wise person, the Midwest doesn't exist. It's just a void. It doesn't exist. So therefore,
It's not really
by
part
that
of the Midwest,
logic,
though. We're still in the mountains here, bud.
I guess Ohio's kind of like on the edge of the Midwest.
It is.
But the point is, it may or may may or may not exist. So this 50% chance just doesn't exist, and either that or maybe just kind of like hallucinated, like just the Civic was invisible, just an invisible Civic.
It's
invisible. It's a Go Civic.
Nope.
There's a Go Civic. Yep, there's a Go Civic.
But I can attest that Ohio is real. While it is a shithole, it is real.
No, I've been to Ohio. I mean, we
You
don't
heard it
have
here,
to Ohio.
folks.
I don't
Ohio
Columbus.
is the asshole of America.
What? Or New Jersey's the joke state?
Yeah, true. New Jersey doesn't exist.
If we keep it at this rate,
And if
we'll
it
end up
does exist-
fucking every state except the one we're in. People will die.
No, because there's plenty of other states
Yeah.
that don't deserve shit talking.
like
Colorado, Montana. They're great states.
Maine.
Nothing wrong with them. Wyoming. It's great.
I was gonna say Florida, but Florida's kind
New
of nasty.
Jersey's wonderful. No, it's not. It's not.
Florida's
It's
nasty.
fucking awful.
Florida's nasty. Sorry to any of the denizens of the various states we're shit talking, but you live in a shit state. We're sorry.
Alabama.
I mean, okay, to be fair, in the anime community, incest is wincest. In the real world, not so much.
I think you know how like every state has their little nickname, like New Jersey, the Garden State. I think Alabama should be the Mike Pence state. They hate the gays. They want to zap them, dude.
What are the nice states? Washington State's quite nice. They have some nice forests and orcas.
It's too rainy.
I mean, yeah, it's rainy, but like they have nice forests.
But like rain, big, dumb.
Yeah,
gross.
rain's annoying, but they have nice. Like, what is not rainy is quite beautiful. Maryland's all right. I like Maryland. This it's kind of a state. Like, there's nothing
I
super.
don't like their
remarkable.
flag.
Yeah, their flag's really bad. Their flag's disgusting.
I can't talk though. I'm from
That's a little. That's a nope. That's a. Be careful there, Alex. Be a little bit careful. Okay.
Okay, if you want a little hint, our state is commonly known for having one of the most, if not the most, awfully designed flag.
It's a bad flag.
It's bad. It's terrible.
It's part of a set of, I think, actually most state flags have this style.
No, not most.
Let me check this
It's
out
like
quick.
New Mexico. They have a beautiful state flag.
They have a very nice flag.
Colorado, great state flag.
The problem with the Colorado flag is that like there's a letter on it, and like it just mildly irks me.
It's not really I mean, it's a polygon that like represents the state. I think it's a really good flag. It's commended as being a really good
No, it's a
flag. I
good
think you just
flag.
have bad
It's just-
taste in design.
No, it's a very personal. Like, I personally don't like it having letters on flags, but it's a well-designed flag.
And then Ohio. Why'd you have to make it a triangle? Everyone hates you.
Not gonna lie, I give them props.
I
It's
don't
unique.
give them props because
Okay,
it's
actually,
a
hold
and
up.
they're just
So-
trying to be different, and they have a shitty flag.
I'm gonna count all the states that have our style of flag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. No, not 15. 15 there. 16, 17, 18, 19. I think 20. I double counted, but almost half of all state flags have the style.
Today on Sleep Drunk, Alavi counts to 20.
We have evolved far from our original
Yes,
topic
we
here.
have. Since we're so lost in this sewer of conversation that we were in right now, I think we need to lift the manhole of chat and exit the sewer of debate and come out on Discussion Avenue. Yeet.
So, Alex, how has your week been?
So this week, yeah, it was pretty good. Last full week of classes, very excited to get home. Nothing, oh, my earbud came out. Nothing too spectacular really happened this week. Got my calculus exam back. Got 100. Very, very happy about that. It's a long story how I got there, but it is 100. Cleaned my room up today. Got packed everything into boxes. I'm ready to head out. Got to pack it into the car. Heading home on Tuesday, and we're recording this on Sunday night.
Yes, Sunday night.
Oh, I forgot. I bought some things that I will talk about in a later episode or a later bit here on the show for my projects. So look forward to that. And other than that, it has just been a nice, refreshing week to kind of slow down from the grind of the semester. How about you, Alavi?
Yeah, for me, it's been quite similar. I've just taken a pretty relatively average week, all things considered. It was the last week of classes. I actually just got my calc exam back. Got a B, should curve up to an A, so I'll take it. That's good. I'm comfortable with that. Not a lot actually happened, thinking back. I feel like a lot more happened than it did. We did go on that little run today and yesterday to an electronics store, which I perused. I today almost purchased a 100 emoji key tag, which would... I didn't. It was 50 cents, and I decided to save my dignity, because I was considering buying it as a joke birthday present for my brother, whose birthday is coming up. Other than that... Today, when we're recording this, marks the beginning of Ramadan, the holy month for Muslims. So from tomorrow I begin fasting, which is fun. It's not fun. It's spiritually enlightening. For context, when Muslims fast, you wake up like 4 a.m, you eat, you drink, and then you don't eat or drink again until the sun sets. Then you eat, and then you drink. So you spend the whole day, no food, no water. And it's not as bad as it seems, actually. Around, like, midday, you just kind of, like, stop feeling hungry, and you're fine. You're just a little more tired than usual. But, I mean, it's still kind of nice. This is actually my first Ramadan that I'm doing away from home, partially. So before, it'd always be, like, in the summer, so I'd just be at home with my family, and we'd fast together. So I'm going to be fasting this one alone, unless, like, you want to join me, Alex, and suffer.
Question, no, absolutely not.
I mean, actually, back when I was in the States, some of my white friends would do, like, one day with me. But, yeah. You're saying?
I mean, like, maybe one day, but also...
Yeah, I don't blame you if you don't want to. I do not blame you. It's brutal. At home, my dad fasts sometimes. My dad's diabetic, and so for him, like, so if you have a illness, and diabetes is a persistent illness, you're exempt. So he doesn't, but my mom fasts, and sometimes his brother fasts. He's still younger, so he doesn't, it's not as, like, ingrained yet. Yeah, honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I think this Ramadan, I want to fast as much as possible, because... earlier on, especially the past few, like, Ramadans, I've been pretty bad about it. Like, I fast maybe a week. I want to try and get as many days in this time as possible. There will be some traveling, and for those of you who are Muslim, I'm sure you know, but if you don't, or just non-Muslims, there's a lot of, like, contingencies on fasting. Like, your fast is broken if, like, you bleed at any point, you are pregnant, you are sick, or you are traveling. And so I think last Ramadan, I got sick, and then had surgery, and then traveled. And so I missed a lot of days. But other than that, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Your fast is broken if you travel? Like,
if you, yeah, so here's the thing.
Or
if
you
you
just
travel
don't
a certain
have
amount of
to.
distance, you're allowed to break it, I should say.
Oh, okay.
Like, you can try, but, like, it's one of the things where, like, it's okay if you break it, because then you're traveling, you know, it's, like, difficult. Especially because back in the day when Islam was being reformed, it's like traveling meant trekking through the desert.
Right.
But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'll give you guys updates on hunger and if I lose weight. Interesting thing, actually, most people gain weight during Ramadan. Most Muslims gain weight even though you are starving yourself. Because
starving yourself is an awful way to lose weight because your body changes how you digest things.
Yeah. So, see, because unless, like, you combine
Don't develop eating
going
disorders,
keto,
kids.
but, like, unless you combine going keto with fasting, you probably won't lose a lot of weight. But I'm still going to try and just eat better, because I find that, like, most time around Ramadan, it's like, hey, I haven't eaten in a while, so I guess that means I can eat 2 Big Macs and 20 chicken nuggets.
I mean, hey, it makes sense to me.
So I'm trying to not do that. We went out to Wegmans today, our favorite grocery store with many lines, and I picked up some food, some olives, because olives are good.
Just in case you couldn't hear that sarcasm there, I fucking despise Wegmans.
Yeah.
But, yep, that true.
See, the problem with Wegmans is that it is like in this weird in-between place. In between places like your standard grocery stores, like, I guess, your Giants, your Safeways, your, I don't know, Vicks if you're on the West Coast, and, like, the Whole Foods organic market type places. It's really weird in between where things are expensive, like more expensive, but the store is still kind of crappy. Like, there's crappy places in the store, and it's really crowded and packed. And that's true fair. We did go there on a Sunday afternoon, so that is prime time for Wegmans.
Right, but it is unbelievably crowded. Like, I think this Wegmans here is worse than the one near my hometown about the spacing. Like, this Wegmans will just throw a stand of things just across a whole line of traffic, and then there's just
like a stack
there's
of Coronas.
suburban moms and huge shopping carts full of just
people
just
going
everywhere.
To the 50,
you cannot
items
move in the store
with much stuff,
and it gives me a headache.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'll to be fair, the Wegmans near me doesn't normally get that packed. Like, I think the Wegmans we go to, I think geographically it serves a disproportionately large number of people, I think. Because my Wegmans doesn't get that crowded. But yeah, our one is really bad. And also things are in weird places. Like, I was trying to get some cream cheese, right? Because I got some bagels. Also, good bagel prices, I must say. But, like, it was just, like, normally in a standard grocery store, the cream cheese is with the milk or the butter, right? The other dairy products, the yogurt. But instead it was like butter was on one side, and then eggs were after that, then milk, then I think like deli meats, then yogurt, and cream cheese was on some like island in the middle, like a lane divider. Why would you put cream cheese with the other stuff? Why Wegmans?
I mean, they have this whole section dedicated to cream cheese too, and then Alavi was looking for like a jalapeno cream cheese. Sounds kind of good. Sounds like something that would be popular. Nope, didn't have it.
Yep, especially
all that cream cheese.
In the dedicated
whole sign
cheese,
hanging from the ceiling saying cream cheese. Nope.
Because like I was looking for context. I was looking for the Philadelphia jalapeno cream cheese. It's really good. They have the Philadelphia strawberry cream cheese, which sounds disgusting. Why would you want sweet
That does sound
cream
disgusting.
cheese?
That would
nasty.
be awful.
Like, no, because the jalapeno has a nice little kick. Like, back when I lived in the States, like before I moved to India, like I'd always make this bagel where I take like some bologna, some pepper jack cheese, and some jalapeno cream cheese, and it was delicious. It was great. That was my like marching band lunch I would make during our like summer training camp. It's good. Why don't Wegmans? If you're listening, anyone at Wegmans corporate, like fix it, please. Make the store layout more intuitive, please. Add more olive selection. All selection's great, but like add more.
Also, when we were heading to the checkout, I'm pretty sure I just like went through a line at a deli counter or something without realizing it.
Yeah.
Because there was some like stupid float yet again in the middle of an aisle, just kind of separating it off. And I just kind of rammed a buggy down through there, like scraping someone's ankles without realizing it. But
yeah. Also, deceptive mango prices. Don't have deceptive mango prices.
Yes,
Wegmans.
deceptive mango prices. It said like $6.30 something on the thing. We go to the checkout, I pay, and then it's like, oh, you paid almost $12 for those mango slices.
Okay, here's the thing, right? There were two different sets of mango slices, right? There was one that was marked $12 and $6 per pound, so about 2 pounds of mango slices. There's another one that was marked $4 and $6 for the box, so like a little bit less, right? Like I don't want to do the math on that. 6 over 4, 2 or so 66 cents per pound or something. I don't know. But like they were the same boxes, but they were placed in different things, and they were marked separately. But we were charged for the big thing. Why, Wegmans?
Ting fam.
Let's start the big thing, mangoes. Get me, fam. Spears. Long. Dead. No problem. That's the first time I've used that voice on the podcast.
Wegmans. Actually, we shouldn't, because that's a bit of a...
I feel like I should pull up to Wegmans, give him a skeng, you get me, fam.
I had a skeng in Wegmans.
Tesco. That's the first time I've used my Roadman voice on the podcast, I think. For those of you who don't know, I have a litany of accents and voices I can use of varying degrees of comedic effect. And I'm sure over the course of the coming episodes, you'll get to hear them. So does that...
Okay, Ajit, bye.
Well, I think it's about time we end the discussion avenue because I have more things to talk about, and I feel that after this we can do more discussion. Does that work with you?
Yes, I think it does, actually.
Okay, brother, then let's finish this.
Welcome to Sleepdrunk ASMR with Hans.
Ooh, I'm coming closer. I'm licking your ear with my tongue. Yeah. I think that might be cut out.
That's definitely going to cut out. I hate
That's
it.
for the gaff reel. Okay. Hey, this is Alavi in post. I left it in. You're welcome. Okay, so our next segment for the episode is going to be an update on a project that we, I guess, launched last episode, but I think we just kind of formalized this episode. Sleepdrunk Attention Span Club, or Sleepdrunk ASC, because that's slick. That's a hashtag you can use if you want to spread on social media. Just saying. Yeah. Okay. So, just as a quick refresher, Sleepdrunk ASC is something we have created to, I guess, out of our overview social media, and it is an endeavor for us to improve our attention spans so we can better do work and engage in things we do in our lives. And for us, that's manifested in two very different ways, both of which are going to be executed over the academic summer, which for us is half of May, June, July, and
not
part of
for
August.
me, but whatever.
Roughly half, give or take.
It is not an academic summer for me.
I mean, I'm talking about academic summers and the summer for the academic year as a unit.
Yes, but
of measurement.
it is not a break.
Fair. But so, Alex, you want to talk a little about what you've got cooking? I know yours is a little less homogenous or foreign, but I feel like it has a lot of potential.
Yes. So in the oven, I have a nice pork roast going. No.
Ramadan Mubarak, I guess.
So I haven't really decisively nailed down what I want to do, but I have developed this new passion for DIY electronics. I just think it's an awesome thing.
It is very fun.
I've taken a course on it's like an introductory electrical engineering course, and it's just really got my wheels turning. And I have purchased a litany of components, including but not limited to an Arduino, a Raspberry Pi, some sensors, and some cables, another breadboard. I already had one. Just a whole bunch of things. And I just want to get familiar with them, and then over the summer I want to build some difficult projects with them. I just want to do what I'll end up doing in a more simpler form. What I'll end up doing is my career later on in life, and I just want to engineer some things that solve problems, right? So, for example, I have one idea that I think I briefly touched on in the last episode, but I didn't go into exactly what it was. So, a while ago, and by a while I mean a few years ago, my brother's boss, he works at a greenhouse, by the way. My brother's boss, was afraid that a heater in one of his greenhouses was going to fail over the winter, and he was wishing to have some sort of a temperature monitoring device for the greenhouses, which are a good distance away from his house. So, you couldn't just use a thermometer that you buy at Target or something like that. And my suggested solution, I told my brother to mention this to him, which didn't really become of anything, but I was thinking maybe I could go sell it to him again now that I actually have a working proof of concept, now with because I have all these parts. But that's besides the point. I was going to have a Raspberry Pi running a web server that is in the house, and listening for updates from Arduino sensors down at the greenhouses that are connected to temperature probes, and I would have those all connected to a Wi-Fi access point that is using one of those weird Ubiquiti satellite beaming internet things. I don't know what they're called. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look them up, but they look like a satellite dish, and you put two of them up, point them at each other, and you can have pretty much just like a local area network over, I think their range is somewhere around 20-30 kilometers.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
Basically just kind of shoots internet as a beam opposed to as a wide range signal.
Yes.
Yeah. And also,
when you capture it at the other
as a quick interjection, do you want just for the non-electronic literate of us, explain roughly what your components mean, what an Arduino is and what a Raspberry Pi is? Because there are the Michaels of the world that aren't tech people.
True. So if you don't know what a Raspberry Pi is, so a Raspberry Pi is a low-cost credit card-sized computer that plugs into a computer monitor or TV and uses a standard keyboard and mouse. It's very capable, and it is very cost-effective. In fact, the one that I picked up is Wi-Fi capable. It runs off of a USB port, like a phone charger, basically, and it costs $30.
Wow. I think they had one
Bluetooth as well.
So we went to a micro center. They had one. There was a very small one for $5. But
yeah, that's
also
the Pi
Zero W, I think.
The Pi Zero W, yes. So it's wireless capable. I'm not sure what the Zero is capable of. It's smaller. I think it's more of a Arduino competitor. But Yeah, and an Arduino is it's not quite the same thing, so it's not as capable as a Raspberry Pi. Like, it doesn't run a regular computer operating system, but it runs some simple code, and you can have it just do more simple functions like reading and outputting to sensors that you can, I mean, you can define what it does, but it doesn't say have a video output.
Yeah.
You have to upload code to it with,
well, like, for example, like
a
a built-in user interface.
Right, like that just isn't there. Like, if there is one, it's because you coded one onto it.
Speaking of coding onto it, you coded something onto an Arduino last night.
Actually, it wasn't last night. What was it? No, yeah, it was Friday night.
It was Friday night, yeah.
I had a piezo buzzer, which is like a little tiny speaker that can play one sound frequency at a time, plugged into my Arduino, and I found an online script and I integrated it into mine so that at the press of a button you could listen to a very horrible rendition of All Star by Smash Mouth,
the legendary music group that I think really changed the landscape of music.
Definitely.
Not as much as Juicy J.
Some argue they were the second Beatles.
Yeah, not as much as Juicy J, but this is very impactful. Still incredibly impactful. Juice Man, bless us.
Ska is the most popular genre.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, actually, I did DM our Lord and Savior Juice Man on Instagram. I think, was it today or yesterday?
It was last night.
Was it last night? Okay, I DM'd last night. I just said, I'm gonna name hi Juice Man. I'm gonna name my firstborn child after you. I just, we'll put a screenshot of it in the show notes. But if any of y'all know the Juice Man, if he could respond to me, I think it would change my world. All praise to Juice Man. I should be saying this during Ramadan.
What's wrong with saying that during Ramadan?
This is very much blasphemy. I guess.
Oh.
Getting back on topic a bit, Alex. Is that everything you got? I need to pick up a sensor pack recently. What kind of sensor did you get in that?
It has a whole ton of sensors. So it has the ones that are capable of sensing temperature, humidity, different gases. Like, I think there's a smoke sensor in there, really? An alcohol gas sensor. It's got LEDs, RGB LEDs, collision sensors, range finders, switches of all kinds. It has a joystick. It's got a accelerometer. Pretty much anything you could ever want. And then the sensor kit's made so that you can experiment with the sensors, and then if you ever need to actually deploy it, you can go buy better ones, or like just a different one. That way you always have this one to experiment with.
Yeah, and we'll leave a link to it in the show notes. We can do that, right? Yeah, leave a link to his sensor kit in the show notes, and
I will actually we will link to one that is similar to mine. Yeah, it'll be on Amazon.
Yeah,
but the one that I bought was from a Micro Center.
Okay, yeah. Was it like their brand? Or like, what's it, the store brand?
Yes, it was the store brand, which is Inland.
Okay, so Micro Center. In that case, we'll link something similar. And then save it for like Arduinos and whatnot, and just like maybe a couple of Wikipedia articles. And I guess changing gears to my thing, mine is basically a 180. For those of you who didn't listen to the last episode, my plan for Sleepdrunk ASC is to read, like, a lot, as much as I can. Because when I was younger, before I got my first smart device, I was a very heavy reader. Like, I loved reading. I did it all the time. I was the kid that read at lunch in middle school. I loved it. And it's something I want to bring back. And so...
Nerd.
Yeah, I was. So, but in the spirit of that, I've created a reading list, and it hasn't updated on my computer. I used iCloud Notes. Just give me a second. Let me look at my phone.
You heard it here, folks. iCloud Notes sucks.
Oh, no, it does. It's just quite convenient. Like, it was just there. I'll probably transfer it to a Google Sheet later. But, okay, so... I've actually already gotten started on my reading list. I've been reading Freakonomics by Stephen Levitt and Stephen Dubner. I'm not sure. One is Stephen, like, with a PH. One is Stephen with a V. It's a book that is about... So it's about economics, but it's in a very unconventional sense. Like, their whole pitch is... It's like they like to call it describing the hidden side of everything. And it kind of talks about all these really interesting relations that are surrounding incentives that, like, affect us in our day-to-day world. And came out a while ago, but when it came out, it was, like, a huge hit. It was a bestseller. I'm sure you've seen the cover. It's like an apple, but it's a slice cut out, and the inside of the apple is an orange, and it makes people uncomfortable. But it's a fantastic book. I'm almost through it, actually. I started reading it just about a week ago, so I'm almost done with it. And I've made a longer reading list, which I'll just kind of read out now and maybe give a brief explanation of why I'm reading it. So after economics is Nudge by Richard Thaler, who was a Nobel Prize-winning economist. It's just about this thing he calls nudge theory, which I don't know too much about, but it's being deployed by like a lot of big businesses, and just it's a way of boosting productivity, I think. I just haven't done that much into it, but I like what Thaler does. He does behavioral economics, which I'm not going to explain because that's some nerd shit. And if you want to learn about it, link in show notes. So there's that book. Then there's going to be various poems by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, who is a German, let's say classic author. I don't know the period. It was like the late 1700s. And the reason I picked up Goethe is because I'm going to get a dual language book with a bunch of his poems so I can sharpen up my German, because throughout high school I took much German. I took it for 5 years and I want to sharpen it back up. And then he also has a very interesting style of poetry. Like there's this poem called Der Erlkönig, might be D, but translates off to the Elf King or the Earl King, which y'all should read. It's basically about this dude who's like transporting his son because the dude's a bitch. His son just gets murdered by an Elf King. So that's interesting. And after that is The Shadow over Innsmouth, which is a short story by H.P. Lovecraft, which I actually have a collection of Lovecraft poems, or books, or not books, short stories, which I will probably just kind of do a couple more of those. That one's also H.P. Lovecraft. He's known for making very like spooky, surreal, cosmic horror type stories, and they're generally quite intriguing. Then after that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, which there's a movie based off of it with Natalie Portman. It's a sci-fi thing. It's about this really spooky area with a bubble. I don't know that much about it. Then after that is No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, which is a Japanese book that actually I think PewDiePie recommended in one of his videos, because for those of you who don't know, PewDiePie reads a lot, and it's also the basis for a character in anime that I'm watching. So there's that. Then Alex just sent me a message on Slack. It's not that picture, Alex.
I know it's not that picture, but it's one that's higher res.
It is, but it's not the original. I feel like the original makes me more uncomfortable than that.
Why?
I don't know.
That was higher res. It's more realistic.
No, there's something weird about that one in particular. But beside the point, we'll put a link to this image in the show notes. Then after that is I Am Legend, which had another movie about it. It's by, I think, James Matheson. I'm not sure who the his full name, but it's about some mutants and this like spooky dude. I don't know much about it. I'm just gonna try and speed this up a little bit. After that, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Mishima, another Japanese author, which I believe is a relatively high acclaimed book. I actually don't know that much about it. I just kind of picked it off a whim because it seemed interesting. Yeah, Alex, that's the image. Alex is sending me a bunch of Slack messages as we're going through it, but there's just something about the original Freakonomics image that makes me uncomfortable. It's just how it is. Makes everyone uncomfortable.
I don't understand why it would make you any more uncomfortable than the one above.
It might be because that is the book that was on my dad's shelf when I was a child, and I had to look at that every day, and so it's kind of ingrained into my memory.
But why would that make you uncomfortable?
It's just,
is there something disturbing about your childhood?
It's just weird. It's just weird. It's just weird. It's just a weird book. But I guess getting back on track, 1984, George Orwell. If you know it, you know it. It's a book I wanted to read in high school that I hoped would be assigned, but wasn't. Let me read that. Then Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami, which is actually was interesting. In 2005, it was awarded the best fantasy book of the year, which, I mean, must be good then, I guess. I'm reading that. Then Dracula by Bram Stoker.
The opening to 1984, I just have to cut in here, is surprisingly sexual. And that's all I've read. The opening to 1984.
Huh.
Have you ever read it?
I have not. That's why I'm reading it. Because I like Animal Farm, which is by George Orwell. That was one of my favorite books that I had to read. That was forced to read in high school. And so I figured, you know what? I like what he does. I'll do some more of it. And then
yeah, that's what I thought with 1984, and then I just never finished it because it was different, and it was also a little long and not what I was looking for this particular project.
Fair. So where was I? I think I mentioned Dracula by Bram Stoker, which it's interesting because the story of Dracula has been told a lot, but from what I've seen, not in the original way the book was written, because from what I've heard, the merit of the original Dracula book is that it's a very slow, methodical story. It's what they call a very slow burn. And that's what makes it effective. Because if you talk about the story just as a plot on its own, it's not that interesting. It's cool, there's vampires, but it's not that much. There's not that much else to it. Whereas on its own, it creates this very I just had a little. I said queates there.
Queates.
A little bit of an ooh. Ooh, daddy. It's a very, I guess just, it makes it a lot more intricate and nuanced, I should say. Then two more is, the last one is American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which is kind of like a young adult urban... Yeet. Neil Gaiman. It is just kind of it's a, I guess, very classic young adult urban fantasy book. Think Percy Jackson. I've heard it's kind of along those realms.
Is Neil Gaiman a gamer?
I hope. I don't know. Are you a gamer, Alex?
I'm a big, thick gamer boy.
So what you're saying is when I go and I look at your mechanical keyboard, I will see the gaps will be filled by, Cheeto crumbs.
Dorito crumbs.
And some Cheetos.
They'll be stuck together with Mountain Dew.
All right, good to know. And lastly is Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari, which is a book about the evolution of humankind, which I've heard is also very good. And that's my reading list. This will also be on the blog, the Sleepdrunk blog, and what I'll actually do is we'll pin it to the top, and as I finish books, I will put a strike through on the title. That way you'll know how far I am. And I think that's my reading list. So I just picked it. I want to keep it nice and diverse, have a good mixture of authors, a good mixture of genres, and just kind of see what I was feeling. Because when I was younger, I would always read, fantasy and sci-fi. And I know that, while I still like those genres, I feel like now is the time for me to see how my tastes have changed and evolved and see what works. Speaking of the blog, actually, I think we both agreed we'll be doing some stuff on the blog. I know I will be probably writing book reviews. Throw those on the blog, Alex. What are you planning on doing with the blog and Sleepdrunk ASC?
I'll definitely post some project updates if I ever finish anything or if I just found something interesting. I'll put a little write-up about it on the blog, and I'll make sure to include images because images are very helpful with this sort of thing. And schematics, circuit diagrams, the whole bit.
Maybe some nudes.
You can probably see my big, huge peen if you'd like to see that. If you express any interest, I can definitely add more.
Yeah. Yep, he'll have those there, some nudes, and then of course there will be the paywall. You get the premium Snapchat from him.
Yeah, if you want to look the dog ears, that's $5. You have to support us on Patreon, which we do not have, but you just manifest your support on Patreon.
Yes,
and I will then give you it with the dog ears.
Yes. Okay. Good to know. Alex nudes available. Sleepdrunk.net/blog.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sleepdrunk. Remember that the first person to guess the song of the day on any of our social media or via email will get a shout out in the next episode. The song of the day for episode 11 was Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye. Please remember to also share the show with friends and family. It can definitely help us out, help spread our uwu.
Spread our viscous uwu. And on the topic of our uwu, the Sleepdrunk podcast can be found on any of your favorite podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. We'll catch you next week.